For problem number 10, on the function g of x, 3x squared minus 6x over x squared minus 4, we are asked to find the vertical asymptotes if there are any, and or holes. So firstly, we know we have to look at the denominator. We must find the zeros of the denominators to identify if those zeros are actually vertical asymptotes. But before we do that, first, we're going to factor the numerator and the denominator and simplify. So step number 1 is factor to simplify. I'm going to start off with the numerator. The numerator is the expression on the top. Can I simplify, factor 3x squared minus 6x? This is a binomial, two terms, and when I look closely, I see that they do have a greatest common factor. The greatest common factor of the two terms is equals to 3x. So I'm going to follow the steps of factoring. I am going to factor out 3x, which means I'm going to divide each of these terms by 3x. So I will get 3x, parenthesis, 3 divided by 3 is 1, x squared over x is x. So 1x minus 6 over 3 is 2, and the x's do cancel each other. So the factored form of the numerator is 3x that multiplies x minus 2. We're going to do the same process for the denominator. So let's factor x squared minus 4. This is a quadratic expression, but do you notice how this is a special one? X squared can be written as x times x, and 4 can be written as 2 times 2. So this is the difference of squares. Based on the formula that we know, x squared minus 4 is the same as x minus 2, x plus 2. All right, now let's write them one on top of the other and see if we can simplify anything. So g of x is equals to, for the numerator, 3x, x minus 2. For the denominator, x minus 2, x plus 2. Do you notice how they do have a common factor? X minus 2 appears on both of them, so we can safely simplify that one. Divide it out. Yes, x minus 2 and x minus 2 will cancel. We're going to replace those by 1, but we're not going to forget. This represents a hole. So there is a hole where x minus 2 becomes 0. If you're solving for x, we get x is equals to 2. So x is equals to 2 is not a vertical asymptote. This is just a hole. All right. Now, for step number 2, after we simplify x minus 2, both top and the bottom, now our simplified form of g of x is 3x on the top and x plus 2 at the bottom. Now we're going to set our denominator to 0, and we're going to solve for x. X is equals to negative 2. That means our vertical asymptote is equals to x equals negative 2. So our function had only one vertical asymptote at negative 2 and one hole at x equals 2. The second part is asking us to state the horizontal asymptote. For the horizontal asymptote, we need to look at the degree of the numerator and the denominator. Remember, our g of x was equals to 3x squared minus 6x for the numerator piece. And then we got x squared minus 4 for the denominator. Okay? Let's together evaluate the degree. The degree is the highest exponent of the variable. Well, on the top, the highest exponent is 2. So the degree is equals to 2. Let's look at the denominator. The highest degree available for the denominator is also 2. So the degrees are the same. That means we have case number 2. When the degree of the numerator is the same as the degree of the denominator, then the horizontal asymptote will be the line y equals the ratio of the leading coefficients, a over b. Let's go back to our function. The leading coefficient of the numerator is 3. The leading coefficient of the denominator is, there is no leading coefficient, so safely we can put a 1 in there. So our horizontal asymptote will be y is equals to 3 over 1, or just simply y is equals to 3.